Hello everyone, and we are back with LMU, and this was quite an experience for me. It's my first time driving GT3s in the rain, and I've got to say it's definitely not easy. You just never really know how the car will react in these conditions. Still, I managed to find decent rhythm, and I had what I called a few minor incidents in earlier races, but overall the day was packed with some great overtakes, solid action, and honestly it was a pretty enjoyable experience, aside from those little incidents. So in the qualifying I managed to get a pretty strong lap that put me P2 in the race, and I was 8/10 behind the leader, which was wild. He was seriously fast. I did make a few mistakes on that lap, but it was still good enough for the second place. And I'm definitely not complaining about that. That's a great start of the race for me, especially in the top split. Sure, it wasn't a 49, but it was a solid 50, and I can be pretty happy with that. So I loaded my race setup, got into the grid, and what happened next was something that I definitely didn't see coming. Catch up, I'm trying.
Green flag, green flag.
Whoa. Whoa. How can... never mind. I never expected that. Yellows, where are those yellows? In front of me? Okay, no. Like visibility is 0. Whoa. No one really wants to leave much space. My start didn't go as planned. The LMP2 driver was on medium tires, which caught me completely off guard. And, of course, I lost a couple of positions early on, but in the end, I made it through. And that's what matters the most. I kind of survived. As always in the rain, you never really know how much grip you've got. And this is what I had to learn in the hard way. I don't know what was that guy doing in front of me, but it was probably problems with TCS. No. Wonderful, isn't it? And after that pretty terrible start, I honestly don't even know how I managed to recover that situation, but somehow I did. I kind of defended for P8, but now I got a Lamborghini behind me, and also I have a Lamborghini in front of me. And it's never easy, especially in the rain. I know I've got much more pace than the other guys in front of me, since I out-qualified most of them, but now it's all about defending and attacking at the same time. And that's never really easy. And in these conditions, anything can happen. I'm just focused on staying on the track and making the most out of every chance I get. Something like this, I guess. Okay, there we go. I love Imola. One wrong move and there it goes. Okay. And once again, I managed to survive. And that just shows you how tricky it is to drive in these conditions. Of course, I wanted to push and get the most out of every situation, but sometimes you make a mistake like that and it can cost you big time. Despite that, the guys ahead of me were locked in a serious battle. And I knew that when I see something like that, especially with smoke, I'd be catching them really, really quickly. Since there is usually a lot of battling and a lot of time loss in those moments. And from that point on, it was all about staying clear of major incidents and capitalizing on any chance that comes my way. Okay, just no incidents, and it's going to be okay. And you know what? I just wanted to say that this might be a good time to save some fuel. Just got that one. And by the way, this was also a multi-class race. So every now and then we had faster cars coming through and actually overtaking us. That's exactly what happened here. It was right in the corner. So I lost a bit of time, but it wasn't too serious really. I also saw two guys in front of me locked in another battle. And once again, this meant that I was gaining time. And as their battle heated up, I managed to close up right on the back of that Ferrari ahead and started putting some real pressure. And it turned into a really nice battle between us. Okay.
Lap 152.28.
Take it easy. Get a better line. Make it much wider. Ugh. Don't get anything. Okay, at least I tried. I was just too quick at the wrong moment. Oh! And it happened. And with half of the race behind us, we started catching up to the other drivers. A couple of yellow flags came out, but unfortunately they were for back markers, so I didn't gain any positions. Still, I began closing in on the driver in fourth place, the Porsche. He kept making the same mistakes in Acqua Minerale, which is one of the trickiest corners at Imola. But every time we hit Variante Alta, he just pulled away. That section just wasn't working for me for some reason. I even picked up a track limits warning, and yeah, I just had to live to avoid getting an incident, which of course cost me a bit of time. And the gap was always around half a second. It was so close, but never quite enough. So I kept pushing and managed to close it down to just about 2/10 at one point. But again, track limits held me back, and I was constantly getting frustrated. I just couldn't get the power down, and that Ferrari behind me actually started closing in too. It really felt like I was stuck. If I pushed harder, I risked getting an incident and just getting out of the dry line, which now is formed on the track. There really isn't much that you can do. So it's kind of a big risk to go outside, and there is, of course, less grip. So I decided to, well, stay out for one more lap, see how the situation is going to develop. But at this point, looking at the virtual energy, he had a lot more of it, which means that he can stay out a little bit longer than I can. And of course, well, this means that he will probably have to spend less time in the pits. So I decided to do my pit stop a little bit earlier than I planned. The problem was that with all of that virtual energy, I just had to somehow make all of that time on the track. I guess just try to be quicker. And I wanted to avoid spending time in the pits, so I refueled and, of course, recharged the virtual energy. And after getting back on the track, I realized there might not be enough fuel to finish the race if there was that one extra lap. Of course, a couple of minutes later, I had this little notification suggesting dry tires, but it started to rain again, and doing another pit stop definitely isn't worth it. So don't even try to put dry tires. It just doesn't work. And of course, I had an LMP driver just overtaking me, but this time I didn't lose any time. So he actually just flew past me on the straights. So it wasn't a big deal, but just about 3 minutes to go now. And I'm just looking at the pit lane exit, just trying to see who is going to come out in front of me. And well, with those 3 minutes to go, both the Ferrari and the Porsche came out of the pits. But I managed to get ahead of the Ferrari, but the Porsche had more energy and eventually spent less time in the pits, which definitely isn't ideal because we have now less than 3 minutes to go. Well, it's never really ideal when he has more fuel, more virtual energy, and spends less time in the pits, so there is definitely an advantage. Fine, right? But once again, I started catching up. And, well, he even made that mistake, which, of course, made it even easier to close up. But again, at the same time, we are reaching the end of the race. There is not even 1 minute to go, which in this situation was really good for me because I will eventually make it and finish the race with enough fuel and enough virtual energy. So it was kind of a relief for me that I will eventually finish the race, but I was pushing and trying to get closer to that Porsche. And once again, I got really close, but it just wasn't close enough. Still, I think this was a solid performance, and once again, every time we went through Aqua Minerale, I started gaining. And as usual, this was a sign that he just wasn't potentially on the limit, and there might be some in this, so maybe he's going to make a mistake. But again, as we went through Variante Alta, I got on the brakes, of course, not carrying enough speed because I just wanted to avoid the incidents and really didn't want to make the same mistake as I did in lap 1, and he got away. So it was half a second, and as you can see, he has a lot more virtual energy and potentially a lot more fuel on board, but that's about it. I got close, I really pushed hard, but it just wasn't close enough. He was still a little bit slower than me, I was gaining, but we crossed the finish line and that was it. The race was over.
Oh man, I'm so happy that it's over. I'm just so happy that it's over. Ah man, next time I'm putting more fuel in. I'm not doing this. More fuel in next time, one more.